much. Really, really interesting contributions this morning, and not that I was going to talk about this point, but I was particularly struck by your point about how can a local authority place children when the schools have a right to refuse them, because I know from my local authority that's been such an issue. But that wasn't what I was going to ask you about, but I was just struck by that. So Baroness Warnock told the committee that local authorities were once seen as allies. I get the feeling they're not. The evidence that we've had from parents now is that local authorities are viewed, rightly or wrongly, local authorities are viewed as a block to getting their children's needs met. What do you think needs to happen to return to the idea that local authorities are there to support every child, rather than local authorities are there to be defeated, to be won, to be beaten in a tribunal? What needs to change?
From Rochdale's perspective, we had an inspection in 2016, we just had one recently, and it describes a different service, and most of that is about relationship with parents. Most of that is about co-production in terms of policies, but also about collaborating and sitting down with parents in terms of developing plans, and I think that's the fundamental. But that's a big challenge for many authorities. As I said earlier, the workforce is a different kind of workforce that you need. And the other thing is that the caseloads that you need to be able to do that properly are much smaller. So we've got average caseloads of 400. That is not the territory where you can do that as well as it could or should be done.
Yeah, thank you. Richard?
Yeah, I agree with Steve's point. So how early can you have the right type of discussions with families in a non-contested arguing stage? So I think the venue for this is the school setting, when the issues are starting to be raised about whether the support level that the school can provide is sufficient enough. So how can we make sure that the school is confident enough in those conversations and that the local authority comes in at the right stage before it becomes confrontational and it is then so difficult to recover from? So I would say moving things into that school setting for the conversations before we get adversarial.
And I'd agree entirely. I think that particularly into the mainstream schools, that would be, because if you can have those conversations in the mainstream schools and the solution sits in the mainstream school, the chances are you can have a better outcome in terms of the child remaining there, because that's where the solution will lie, as opposed to it becoming more adversarial.
One of the other things we've heard, and apologies if my colleagues were going to mention this, was should we be separating the people who write the plans from the people who provide the funding from the plans? Would that help for the local authority to have a better relationship? Should the local authority be responsible for creating the plans if they have to make the decision on how much funding they're going to get? Because you would assume you're always going to be in an area of conflict then.
Well, I think the answer to that is I would disagree, because I think that I certainly in my past in the military is that where you align responsibility, accountability and authority, you tend to have organisations that work. If you misalign that and make someone responsible for one part, accountability somewhere else and authority somewhere else, you end up with an organisation that won't work.
But do you not think there's a disincentive to create a plan to meet each child's need if you know it's going to be more expensive? Can you not? There might be a conflict of interest there. For example, if you know a child requires speech therapist every week, but you know you've only got funding to provide that every 3 weeks, would there not be a conflict in what you put on that plan?
We manage it very well in children's services and in adult services, I would suggest, and it's a matter, I think, of looking at it in its totalities. I would say that we need to, while it sounds an attractive idea, I think that the overspends would just run away with themselves at that point.
What do you think? Local authorities have been in that space historically. Local authorities have that experience of commissioning services and being responsible for the budget. It's what they've done. And you might want to compare it to the health sector, where of course it's different, where there is that separation, and I don't believe it gets done any better. I also believe costs are less controlled.
Okay.